Yes.
Surviji, we can start now.
All right. Yeah, all the panelists are here.
Anurag Batra will join after 5-10 minutes. All other speakers have joined.
All right. So very good afternoon to all of you, to all the students, to all the teachers, to faculty, respected DG sir, and all our dignitaries who have joined us here to orient the students about self-reliant India and media entrepreneurship. So students, you're lucky enough that we have a very, very exciting, good panel here, and we have excellent speakers here. We have Dr. Abhishek Garg with us, who is Executive Director of DGB Technologies. We have Mr. Shallabh Upadhyay here, who is founder and CEO and Editor-in-Chief of Newsj, and that is NEWJ. We have Dr. Anurag Batra here, who is chairperson and editor-in-chief of the Business World, and also he was the founder of Exchange for Media. And students, we have with us Mrs. Anuradha Prasad, who needs no introduction, and she is editor-in-chief of News 24. So I welcome you all, on behalf of DG Sir, ADG Sir, and all the faculty members and all the students and all the IIMC family. So students, we have this particular session is about, self-reliant India and media entrepreneurship. So as you know, it is high time. I always tell in my class that, we have a class of 68 students, and I want at least 5 students who can become entrepreneurs from my class, and rest can take good jobs. But I always ensure that, we can work towards entrepreneurial skills of students as well. The conglomerate culture, if you talk about the conglomerate culture in India, it has something to do, something too incandescent to avoid, that is the legacy laggards. So the traditional media organizations, they have witnessed family-owned businesses in India, and they have grown into big conglomerates. Hence, it is only when you break through the shackles of monopoly of these traditional legacy media can you stand out and be the entrepreneur in Indian media. I'm talking specifically about media entrepreneurship because we all belong to media fraternity. And this is when, the digital media organizations, they come in and they take the road which is not taken or less taken, only to set footprints in which citizens are the co-owners of pedestal. And my dear friends, journalism breeds goodwill. And you all, as I told you on the orientation day also, you all are here because you are optimist people. And the social aspect of entrepreneurial journalism, it cannot bloom unless, journalists, they themselves partake, they are themselves the partakers of this world. Thus, I believe that, people in this profession and people for this profession can be the sole torchbearers of this kind of news business, and they cannot, do away with it. They connect masses, and it passes the circuit in the form of journalism only for, powers that be and redress the grievances of, the citizens, the people in India. So this is when, we know the media has successfully bridged the gap between people and, the powers that be. And we as media educators, as journalists, as entrepreneurs, we should focus on the trailblazers, the new entrants in the field of journalism entrepreneurship. as well as various small business owners in India. So several theorists have talked, differently about media ownership. I'll be telling you soon after the first speaker speaks. So with this, I would like to first introduce our first speaker, Dr. Abhishek Garg, who has done his MTech from Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology, and he's also an MBA from IIM Rohtak. Currently, he's executive director with DGB Technology India Private Limited, a homegrown mobile manufacturing company with employee strength of around 5,000 people. So kudos to you, Dr. Garg. He has also, he runs a Sansui brand in India, and currently he's focused on setting manufacturing facilities of various electronic products in India. Dr. Garg has worked with companies like Samsung, Korean, Electrolux, European, Hair, Chinese, APC, American. So in first 11 years of his work life, and then devoted himself in setting up same in the Indian context. So he lived in China for about 3 years and traveled to the whole Asia and Europe for understanding the business dynamics. So I welcome you, Dr. Garg. Over to you. I would like you to please, deliberate on the self-reliant India, our Prime Minister's mission and vision and strategic intent enunciation, and specifically with throwing light on media entrepreneurship. So. You are
Please
not.
unmute.
Yes, sir. You are.
Abhishek ji, please unmute.
Surbhi, thanks a lot. And can this be an interactive session with students, or this would be one-way communication?
Sir, I think you can just address them for now, and after we have a quick round of all the speakers, we'll make it interactive and we'll ask we'll make the floor open for the students to ask some questions as well.
Perfect. So, hi everyone. Hi students and distinguished guests and distinguished faculty and DG sir. Probably the hello everyone. Good afternoon. Introduction given by Surbhi ji about entrepreneurship, and I was just trying to get some threads from where I can start my communication with you on the subject. So in her introduction to the subject, probably she mentioned somewhere entrepreneurship, somewhere small businesses she has mentioned somewhere. So let me start this whole concept of entrepreneurship. So I don't know whether you have in your curriculum a subject called entrepreneurship or not, though now there's a focus from the education specialists that we should be learning actually in our educational institutes that what is entrepreneurship. So fundamentally, I'll start with a focus on what is the difference between a small business and an entrepreneurship. So if would have been an interactive session, probably we could have talked with each other, and I would try to inculcate the difference within you. But then broadly, let me explain this. So a small businessman looks for profit. So what he tries to do, he manages the business by a stable sales, a profit, and a growth. So there are three things he's a small business or a businessman looks after: that a stable sale, profit, and growth. Wherein when we talk about an entrepreneur starts with the innovation, not profit but profitability, not growth but sustainable growth. So when we say sustainable growth, means keeping all the dynamic factors and the changing world, assuming we would be, let's say, 20 billion after some time, or assuming our carbon emission would be a different level after some time. So whether our today's concept of business would sustain or not. So probably when we say a small business and an entrepreneur, the majority difference is, instead of profit, look for a profitability. Instead of growth, look for a sustainable growth. So this is the fundamental difference between an entrepreneurship and a small business. Now, when we say entrepreneurs, what an entrepreneur do actually? What is an entrepreneur? What distinguishes an entrepreneur? So, entrepreneur is the guy who seeks an opportunity. So when the other when we are in a situation wherein the other people sees chaos, an entrepreneur sees an opportunity. So probably you must have heard a story. There was an island, and there was a shoe company. And this shoe company sends two salesmen to the island to set up their business and to expand their territories to the particular island. And when these two salesmen reaches to the island, they realize nobody wears shoes out there. So first person sends a message that please send a boat to pick me back because nobody wears shoes here. And the other guy sends a message that probably you sent 10,000 pairs of shoes because nobody wears shoes here. So you know how wherein the other people are looking as a chaos, and entrepreneur look it as an opportunity. So guy who looks for an opportunity is an entrepreneur. The guy who take the risk beyond the security. So another important ingredient for an entrepreneur is take risk. So assuming I'm in a comfort of, let's say, 30, 40, 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh rupees, a comfort job, paid salary job. And then I'm saying that, okay, my life is cool. I don't need much. I'm more content and all that. But then suddenly when you realize that, oh, there is a mission behind it. I'll just take you to the journey. How did myself got transformed? So was in comfortable jobs with multinational companies and having good profiles, traveling to the world, good holidays, a good lifestyle. Good friend circle. And suddenly, what I realized that over a period of time, during my tenure in China, I realized what is there. What is differently they are doing, that they are the world factory and we are not. And when I have traveled across to these factories and all that, I particularly realized that there's no difference. It's just that we are not venturing and they are venturing. We are not taking risk. And there is a lot of reasons. We can always come up and say, oh, the cost of money is high in India as compared to China, or cost of money is more in India as compared to Europe. So then there are ways out that we have to organize. Badmana. So we can organize all those things. So when I realize, and then when we say that, okay, our economy is not growing, there is a problem in our economy, this government is not doing good in economy, that government is not doing good in economics. And since independence, we will always be, this is one question. You being a journalism students, probably except the people who comes from a microeconomics or macroeconomics background, normally we are, even in reporting our economic thing, generally we are on a back foot. Why so? Why we are not, we have not been happy with the growth. So largely we have to analyze that what is that particular growth, what actually we are looking at it. So we are a big population, which means we are low cost manpower. So we have a lot of potential to hire people for jobs. And then we do have our import belly, that we import a lot and we export a little. So our trade deficit as a country, as a India, our trade deficit is pretty high, wherein we do import a lot and export a little less. So probably to solve, how to do? We pick up top 3 imports. So number 1 import, let's say, is petroleum, right? We import a lot of crude oil. Probably in media news, you normally oil pool losses, you must have read this term. Tel pool ka ghata sambhavta. Most of the people have heard this terminology. So we have this Reliance Jamnagar refinery, which actually brings up almost 25% of the currency back to the country, which goes out while we are importing the crude oil. So then second thing is like gold. It used to be gold. Now the number 2 belly of import is electronics. So what we have realized that, okay, we cannot build the chip making factory over a period of time. Still the whole world wants ICs and chips to be made in their countries. but even today 74% of chips are being produced in Taiwan, not even in China, not in USA, not in Japan, not in Korea, because those kind of technology transfer are comparatively slower in process and it takes its own time. So what we can do, we have a lot of manpower, we can get into the assembly of the products. So let somebody make the chip, but at least we can involve as many as people possible, and we can increase the value addition. So probably a crude oil we import from Saudi Arabia, a chip probably we may import from Taiwan, but refinery we set up in India. So when the output is a diesel or a petrol, similar way the output is let's say a phone or a television or a refrigerator, probably we can export those. So this is somehow wherein there was a chaos wherein we were not making any raw material for that. Somebody has to look for an opportunity that okay, we can process this information, that whatever is raw material is coming, we have a cheaper manpower available in this country and huge number of skilled manpower is available. Use this as an opportunity and convert it into the product and export, and thus solve the problem for the country. So it's a step towards reaching a self-reliance country. So coming back with the same concept, if we apply the same concept into the media generalism. So what is the problem statement today as far as media or journalism is a concern? Probably an interactive session would have helped us a little better. But assuming a digital content is so much available and a user does not know which content is authentic and which content is not authentic. Maybe this is one problem. The problem two is because we are consuming content too much by videos, so less people are reading the book. Now you are reading the book or you are a book reader, probably you can solve with a book review. So the solve is, let's say if one of you has a habit of reading a book and your throughput of, let's say, a book a week kind of throughput is there, which means you can have a weekly review of a book. Probably if your review is very good, it's if your review is beneficial for a reader, probably he may not read the book, but he will get the content and the knowledge through your review. So eventually, slowly more and more reader will come to you for your book review, and more users will come to your YouTube channel, or probably whatever is the medium you would be using to communicate with with your audience. And over a period of, this is a business venture, so over a period of time, once YouTube will come and say, okay, you have these many followers, you have these many readers, so probably we will be ready to pay you this much money. And then instead of 3 big book reviews, probably you hire more people, and then after hiring those people, you have more and more book reviews, and this becomes a business over a period of time. And then some venture capitalist comes and say, okay, I will do a seed investment into your business, and then somebody goes into the acquisition of business. So this is how the business are built. And when we say how it will connect to self-reliance of the country, और आत्मनिर्भर भारत कैसे बनेगा ये करने से, so probably we don't need an outside brain in terms of even media. And I mean, we are the one who can generate a stream wherein we could be the media processor for the world. Probably a good language specialist can translate a Russian book in English, and that those book reviews can be sold into US also. Those translation of books can be sold in USA. So as much as we know about Russian author, probably that much only an American reader is also knows, or probably less. So if we can translate those books, if we have the translations of Dostoevsky available in India, and if we can review those Dostoevsky's literature into our own interpretation for US user, probably we would be exporting a literature as well from here to there. So broadly, wherever we could see an opportunity, we can become an entrepreneur by seeing an opportunity, by taking a risk. These things cannot be done, trust me, by part-time work. So if somebody has to get into those roads of life, probably if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to take risk, which is beyond question, that if you have to go into entrepreneurship, risk has to be taken. So the fundamental definition is for entrepreneurship is the individual who sees opportunity in a kiosk, who take the risk, and who push the idea towards reality. So there could be an idea, very whatever I'm talking about is an hypothetical idea, but one of the guy in this classroom or one of the guy in this session probably will pick up something from here and nurture an idea, and it will tomorrow can be converted into reality. So this is basically a fundamental view I wanted to give you on entrepreneurship. Specifically, I would also like to emphasize on what are the ingredients of an entrepreneurship. So we say, okay, this is entrepreneurship. We have established, we have gone through a larger idea that how entrepreneurship can be achieved, how we can become an entrepreneur. I mean, this is a myth that entrepreneurs are born and all this. I'll not, I mean, that the session will go pretty long. I do have a list of myths what people talk about entrepreneurship. If time permits, we will quickly talk about those myths as well. But then broadly, after understanding the entrepreneurship, I'll just take 2 minutes more on the subject that what are the ingredient of an entrepreneur. So broadly, who is an entrepreneur? We understand the one who assumes the risk, one who sees opportunity into the kiosk, one who push the formula, an idea into reality. But what are the ingredients? So I am an entrepreneur, but what are the essential ingredients an entrepreneur would be needing? And this will once I'll just summarize it for you into the 4 points for ingredients of the entrepreneur. Once, I mean, if you can arrange these 4 ingredients, and you will be an entrepreneur. So the first ingredient is willingness to take calculated risk in terms of time, equity, and career. So if you have a willingness to take risk, and this is calculative risk, I'm saying, because you have already you should have find an island where nobody wear the shoe. You will set up a business out there only. There is a possibility that everybody will wear the shoes. There is a possibility that nobody will wear a shoe. So this is a calculative risk. You will go and understand their mindset whether they'll wear a shoe or not. So first ingredient is your willingness. Willingness in terms of career also, because a fixed salary jobs would be which would be more easy to get conditioned. No dynamism in life. Every month you will be getting a salary. You will have a very stereotype set life. Not much romance, not much adventure in the life. Wherein if you become an entrepreneur, there would be an adventure. Number 2, required ingredient is ability to formulate an effective venture team. So this likes in Hindi we call it as this sangathan kshamta. So you should be having a basic leadership quality in you, and you should have a fundamental formulation in your mind that in a venture these many people would be required. So let's say I'm starting advertising company, so probably I would be needing a content writer, I would be needing someone to shoot, maybe outsource, maybe on roll, maybe off roll. I would be needing an editor, I would be needing a guy for the mixer, I would be needing a guy who can shoot. So probably you should have an ability to sell your idea to all the stakeholders in terms of who would be joining your venture team. The third ingredient is you should have a skill for building a solid business plan. So idea everybody has, okay? We can have a team as well. But if we do not have plan, probably you have read somewhere that if you do not plan to success, probably you plan to fail. So if you do not have a plan, probably the plan you may get failed. So you should have an acumen for building a solid business plan. And fourth one is the one which is a basic quality of an entrepreneur, that you should have a vision to see opportunity in chaos. So this is very dynamic area wherein you are going, wherein the life would be adventurous. Every day, every night, there would be a new problem coming to you when you become an entrepreneur. But you should have a vision, you should have an idea. Yeah. So Shailendra ji probably, yeah, that's okay. So you should have an idea that wherever there is a crisis, you should have an eye to look for an opportunity out there. So if with these basic ingredient, with this basic leadership idea, if we try about any entrepreneurship idea, probably steps would be like you would be needing a venture fund, which is called a seed fund. Probably I mean, there are organizations available who gives you a seed fund, who provides a seed fund for startup of a business. Then there would be a second stage wherein probably you must have read about A, B, C, D, E, F round of funding. So as soon as you get a seed fund and you do a startup, and probably whatever is the initial first 6 months or first 1 year results, what you have projected while making a solid business plan, what I have mentioned earlier, if you reach that, then you get A round funding, B round funding, and this is how the organizations become bigger. So probably I while talking with you on this, I could imagine my journey since 2015, from seed fund till this 5,000 people employee, or 8,500 crore revenue business in a term of 6 years. This is all going through my mind. But then fundamentally, what I could visualize that don't worry, there are venture capitalists available in the market who are ready to give you money. So don't worry. First, these basics foundation, if we are ready with that, probably media entrepreneurship would be a very new and very encouraging sector, which certainly will take us not only self-reliant in terms of our own media consumption, our own content consumption, but we can do export as well. Probably a small example what we have seen is some applications wherein a user makes its own video and puts on the tape, some TikTok kind of thing, which are now banned. Probably the security issues were there, but the conceptually TikTok kind of thing. So that there's a global need of advertising stuff. There is a global need to communicate through corporates to their consumers, or governments to the consumer. So whatever B2B, there is a B2B communication required. There is a B2C, so brand to business to consumer communication required. There is a business to government required. Government to people communication is required. So we are in a sector wherein there's a lot of communication required, and while studying all this digital media or advertising or PR or radio or TV journalism, in all these, there is an opportunity to communicate with that end consumer or end user or the people, and this is a global need. So probably if you can go on the fundamental of entrepreneurship, basic ingredients, and a solid idea, probably you can build a content factory. Those contents can be exported to the world, which eventually can bring some revenues to us, or at least your intellect requirement will also be fulfilled by that.
You can wind up, sir.
Sorry if I have overshooted that, Surbhi.
That's okay, sir. You can wind up whatever you are speaking.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. This is what I was. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Garg, for all your insights. Rather, I was, wanting to tell the students that, what you have just told, that how entrepreneurship, means to undertake, and how, it refers to the process of undertaking the financial risk of a new enterprise in the hope of making a profit. But this, there are various concepts, and I'll just take 2 minutes to briefly discuss. This concept existed and, has been known for centuries, but but it was not added to the formal models of classical and neoclassical economists, as they believed that the perfect information would be recognized only by rational actors, which will not leave a room for risk taking or any kind of discovery. So students, it is only it was only in the middle of, say, 20th century that economists seriously attempted to incorporate entrepreneurship into their models. And the major theorists were Frank Knight, Joseph Scumcher, and Israel, who were among the top three thinkers which were central to the inclusion of entrepreneurs. And usually Scumcher, he put forth entrepreneurs he put forth that entrepreneurs were accountable for the conception of new things to seek out a profit. So one of the fundamental theories of entrepreneurship is that it causes innovation. Knight, for example, he emphasized on entrepreneurs to be the bearers of uncertainty, and he also believed that they were accountable for risks in financial markets. Whereas Israel, he considered entrepreneurship as a process that will finally lead to some sort of discovery. But on the other hand, there's a person called Daniel Eisenberg, and he was, my dear students, a former professor at the Harvard Business School. And I was reading something where I read that he is now an entrepreneur. He worked all his life as a professor in the Harvard Business School. And he believes that entrepreneurship is contrarian. So no, I was reading an interview. He gave an interview to the Inc. and he argued that anything entrepreneurial or truly entrepreneurial, it shouldn't be perceived as valuable or feasible or smart. So that's because entrepreneurialism, it rather than referring to anybody who starts a business, is all about seeing value where nobody else does. As Sir just told you, somebody can sell all the shoes on an island where, where people are not wearing shoes. So it is basically, it's all about seeing value where nobody else does. So he also said that, we've gotten very confused as a society about what is important about this term. So one of the confusion is that it is linked to the startups, and that every startup is entrepreneurial, and that every entrepreneur has a startup. And another confusion, he said, is it's very important to discuss here, is, according to Eisenberg, is that each and every entrepreneur is innovative, and most innovations are entrepreneurial. And, he also said that what I am trying to get back is what entrepreneurship really means, doing something that is, out of the ordinary in terms of value creation. So entrepreneurs are creating extraordinary value. They are beating the market by taking something that looks very, very less valuable to everybody else. But basically, students, we take Scumcher's point of view of entrepreneurship as an innovator, as a touchstone, I would say. And entrepreneurial journalism, if you talk specifically, it is the ownership and, creation of an enterprise whose doings, adds a minimum of one voice or a single innovation to the media at large. And the entrepreneur or their groups are the vital characters in the formation of an organization, be it an innovator or the founder or the owner. So with this, I would like to call one of the biggest entrepreneur in the media sector, Mrs. Anuradha Prasad. Mrs. Anuradha Prasad Shukla is an illustrious, Indian woman entrepreneur, and she's the serving chairperson and managing director of BAG Films and Media, and editor-in-chief of 24, one of India's leading news broadcasting channels, with a committed audience and of more than 300 millions per month. This deserves a big round of applause for her. She is a pioneering woman figure in the Indian media industry, and her career spanning over 2 decades now started right after her post-graduation from the prestigious University of Delhi, crisscrossing the fields of mass media and education, and her contribution students to the industry's policy making find their ways through her various roles and responsibilities as president Association of Radio Operators for India and vice president National Broadcasters Association. She's also a member of Confederation of Indian Industry and FICCI. And Mrs. Shukla serves the duty of being a prominent voice of India's citizens. Two of her popular talk shows, Itihas Gawah Hai and Amne Samne, attract attention of the common man and the policymakers alike. I welcome you, Anuradha ji. Over to you.
Thank you. I'm just taking 1 second just to switch off some lights. There are some...
Sure.
Yeah?
Please take your time.
Yeah. Just taking 1 minute. It's coming on my eyes, so I'm just...
By the time, I must tell you, students, that academic, she has got so many awards, and Mrs. Anuradha, she's a guiding light to the path of success made possible with unwavering determination, and you have a lot to learn from her, students.
Sorry. Little dim, but it's you are
visible and you are audible, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Thank you, Surabhi ji. Thank you, Pramod ji. Thank you, Sanjay Divedi ji. He's like like family, and thank you, IMC, for inviting me here to speak to you people. Students, I love to speak to you people because I always feel that I am myself a student till now. It's more than 3 decades that I have put in this profession, but I feel very young, and I feel mujhe to kuch nahi aata hai abhi bhi, because I still feel whenever I am facing the camera, I have goosebumps. So that gives me the confidence that I'm still alive and kicking. Now, students, I'll be talking to you in Hindi. And why in Hindi? Because I run a news channel which is in Hindi, and it's I think you would appreciate that the language that my channel speaks to, I should be talking to you people in the same language. So here I start. IMC के इस orientation program में I'm sure सुबह से तमाम बातें, तमाम जिक्र, बहुत सारे विषयों पर बातचीत हो रही होगी, और विचारों का, जिसे कहते हैं ना, अमृत बरस रहा होगा आप लोगों के ऊपर. तो आप लोग थोड़े से खुश हो जाइए, बिकॉज इसलिए खुश हो जाइए कि इतनी सारी चीजें एसिमिलेट करने में आपको बहुत टाइम लगेगा. तो मैं ऐसी बातें करती हूँ ना, जिससे कि आप लोगों को लगे कि कहीं बहुत ऐसी वाली दुनिया में तो नहीं आ गए जहां बहुत परेशानी होने वाली है. बिल्कुल नहीं. आप लोगों ने ऐसी फील्ड को चुना है जिसमें आपको हर दिन नई चुनौतियां मिलेंगी, और उन चुनौती को सामना करना और उनसे आगे बढ़ना, यही आपका मोटो रहना चाहिए. चाहे आप एक अच्छे जर्नलिस्ट हो, पत्रकार हो, या एंटरप्रेन्योर हो, बिजनेस पर्सन हो, व्हाटएवर यू आर, आपको ये सोच के आगे बढ़ना है कि मैंने तो आज जो कर लिया वो कर लिया, कल मुझे कुछ नया करना है. Whether you call that an entrepreneurship, I don't know, because I have not gained any. I have not, मैंने जो है ना, मैं खुद को एक एक्सीडेंटल जर्नलिस्ट कहती हूँ, क्योंकि मैं बगैर किसी फॉर्मूला, मैंने तो पॉलिटिकल साइंस और इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में ये किया था, अपना पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन किया था. मुझे नहीं पता था कि मैं जिस प्रोफेशन में आ रही हूँ उसमें मुझे इस तरीके के टॉपिक्स पे भी बात करना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट इज अ सेल्फ रिलायंट इंडिया एंड मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का रिश्ता क्या है, उस रिश्ते को मैं कैसे डिफाइन करूं. मेरी दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी से पढ़ाई के बाद जब मैं पत्रकारिता की मेरी यात्रा शुरू हुई, तो देश और मीडिया, प्लीज रिमेंबर बिकॉज आई एम टॉकिंग ऑफ 90s, कि देश और मीडिया दोनों ही बदलने के राह पे था. भारत की जो सोशलिस्ट इकोनॉमी जो थी, उसका ढांचा बदल रहा था, और प्रिंट के दबदबे से, the pressure of print was somewhat going to, it was just getting stretched. और मीडिया में कैमरा और माइक प्रवेश कर चुका था, मीडिया इंडस्ट्री में वो आ गया था। तो मैं भी एक रिपोर्टर से मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के रास्ते पर चल पड़ी। मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के लिए आपको जिन चीजों की जरूरत होती है, उसके लिए आत्मनिर्भर। तो आत्मनिर्भर कौन होता है? जो अपने आप में जब आप निर्भर होगे तो आप देश के लिए भी आत्मनिर्भर बन पाओगे। इसीलिए एक एंटरप्रेन्योर की जो राह होती है ना, उसमें सबसे पहले मेरे पहले अभिषेक गर्ग जी ने बोला कि आपको ये देखना है कि जो राह मैंने चुनी है ना वो करेक्ट है। आई हैव टू बिलीव इन माई सेल्फ। When you believe in yourself, you are an entrepreneur. The job that you do, the business that you start, whatever you do, you feel कि मैं तो इसमें अब मैं I'm going to succeed, because एक entrepreneur के लिए सक्सेस के अलावा और कुछ नहीं होता है। आप जिस राह पे चल चुके होते हो ना, उस पे आपको सक्सीड करना ही पड़ता है। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में ना मीडिया में बहुत कुछ बदलाव आया है। पत्रकारों के लिए, आज के युवा पत्रकारों के लिए प्रोफेशन जो है ना, वो एक मिशन कम और शोहरत और पैसा कमाने का जरिया भी बनता चला जा रहा है। आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि ये गलत है, लेकिन पूरे देश में अगर बदलाव हो रहा है तो हम सब में भी बदलाव होगा, ये हमें पता है। और इस बदलाव के लिए जब हम वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी के पार्ट हो गए हैं तो ये इम्पोर्टेंट भी है कि ये बदलाव होए। हर किसी की चाह होती है, अगर आप अपने लिए नहीं सोचोगे तो आप देश के लिए क्या सोचोगे, और अगर आप अपने और अपने बिजनेस के लिए नहीं सोचोगे तो आप आत्मनिर्भर नहीं हो सकते हो। तो आत्मनिर्भर भारत का लक्ष्य और मीडिया की जो इंडस्ट्री है, ये दोनों अलग अलग विषय तो अलग है, लेकिन दे आर बोथ टुगेदर। इनका बड़ा गहरा रिश्ता है। भारत आत्मनिर्भर बने, ये कौन नहीं जानता है, हम सब चाहते हैं, बहुत जोर शोर से चाहते हैं। मीडिया भी यही चाहता है और मीडिया से जुड़े लोग भी यही चाहते हैं। वोकल फॉर लोकल, मेक इन इंडिया से जुड़ी खबरें तो टीवी पर आप देखते होंगे और अखबारों में भी छपती है। ऐसी खबरों के लिए जगह भी इसलिए मिलती है क्योंकि ये लोगों से जुड़ी हुई खबरें होती हैं। They are intertwined. We have to believe this, that when the country grows, we all grow, the society grow. And this is जो ये गांठ है ना, इसलिए हमेशा देश के बदलाव के साथ, देश के में समाज के बदलाव के साथ साथ मीडिया को भी अपने आप हर टाइम बदलना पड़ता है। मीडिया में जो काम कर रहा है और मीडिया के कारोबार के भीतर की हम सब इसकी तो बात करते हैं कि मीडिया जो है उसको समाज का आईना होना चाहिए, उसे समाज को, उसके थ्रू समाज को देखना चाहिए। जो मीडिया में काम कर रहे हैं वो सारे लोग, पत्रकार जो हैं, उनको ये हमेशा सिखाया जाता है कि मीडिया एक मिशन की तरह है, उसको सिर्फ मिशन की तरह देखो, लेकिन मिशन जो है ना, मिशन के अंदर में क्या हो रहा है इसके बारे में लोग नहीं जानते। मीडिया का जो कारोबार है उसकी चुनौतियों के बारे में लोग नहीं बात करते हैं, उसको कहीं ना कहीं कारपेट के नीचे छुपा दिया जाता है। मीडिया आत्मनिर्भर और दबाव मुक्त बने, ये बात नहीं होती है। ये ईमानदार कोशिश कब होगी? हम ही आप जैसे लोग तो करेंगे ना। ये ईमानदार कोशिश होनी चाहिए। लोग ये तो जरूर बोल देते हैं कि मीडिया को अपनी मर्यादा के अंदर रहना चाहिए, उसे लक्ष्मण रेखा के अंदर रहना चाहिए, उसे उसकी जिम्मेदारियों का एहसास होना चाहिए। ये सब ठीक है, लेकिन मीडिया की पीड़ा को कौन समझ रहा है? ये भी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है। और स्टूडेंट्स, मैं आपको इसलिए ये बात बता रही हूँ क्योंकि एक मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर जो सिर्फ और सिर्फ मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर होता है ना, वो इन चीजों से गुजरता है और इसके लिए आपको तैयार होना चाहिए कि आप इससे गुजरोगे। अगर आप मीडिया और के एंटरप्रेन्योर बनोगे तो आप गुजरोगे इससे, जरूर गुजरोगे तो, लेकिन आपके अंदर इतना आत्मबल होना चाहिए, इतनी चीज होनी चाहिए, इतना जज्बात होना चाहिए कि चाहे कुछ भी हो, न तो हम अपने प्रोफेशन से हिलेंगे और न ही अपनी क्रेडिबिलिटी के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज करेंगे। देखिए, मीडिया के एंटरप्रेन्योर बनने के लिए ना सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट जो होता है वो क्या होता है, अगर आप मीडिया के एंटरप्रेन्योर हो, कि आप कितने क्रेडिबल हो। क्योंकि मीडिया ऐसी चीज है ना, इसके ऊपर ये इट्स लाइक शीशा, कांच होता है ना, कांच की तरह। एक छोटा सा कंकड़ पड़ा और उसमें क्रैक आया। आपके प्रोफेशन के लिए सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग दैट इज फॉर यू पीपल इज टू बी credible, and to be a credible media entrepreneur is the most difficult task today. You know, हम सब आपको खूब सारे सब्ज बाग दिखाएंगे, बट मैं थोड़ी सी रियलिटी भी आपको दिखा रही हूँ। वो इसलिए क्योंकि मीडिया जो है ना आज की डेट में, उसकी जो चुनौतियां हैं उनको मैं 3 पार्ट में देखती हूँ। एक, द लार्ज मीडिया, one, second, the medium size media, and the third, the single ownership media. Now, बड़ा मीडिया जो होता है उसको चलाने में जब आपको 500, 600, 1000 लोगों को नौकरी देनी होती है तो आपको एक बहुत बड़े पैसे की जरूरत होती है। You need money, and why do you need money? You need to be distributed well. And why do And it's like this कि कंटेंट को तो हम किंग बना देते हैं, लेकिन गॉड जो होता है ना मीडिया का, स्पेशली मैं टेलीविजन मीडिया की बात कर रही हूँ, वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन होता है। अनलेस आप दिखोगे नहीं तो आप बिकोगे कैसे? जिसको काफी कुछ सोशल मीडिया ने और डिजिटल मीडिया ने तोड़ा है, लेकिन उनके तोड़ने के साथ साथ कुछ और चीजें भी आ गई हैं जिससे हमें हमेशा आगाह रहना पड़ेगा। क्यों? क्योंकि इसीलिए मैंने बोला कि मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज दैट यू नीड टू बी क्रेडिबल। इफ यू आर अ क्रेडिबल जर्नलिस्ट, इफ यू आर अ क्रेडिबल मीडिया पर्सन, इफ यू आर अ क्रेडिबल मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर, यू विल सक्सीड। एंड जो पत्रकार हमारे यहाँ काम करते हैं, जो लोग हमारे यहाँ काम करते हैं, ये सिर्फ ये इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं कि आप क्रेडिबल हो जाओ, आपकी पूरी टीम को भी क्रेडिबल होना पड़ता है। और ये एक अलग स्पेशल टास्क है। देखिए, प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी तो हर किसी को चाहिए। अगर प्रॉफिट में आप नहीं होगे ना तो आए गए चले गए, कहाँ गए पता ही नहीं चला। ये वाली चीज नहीं होनी चाहिए कि आज मैंने एक चीज को खोला और कल मैं आई एम आउट ऑफ इट। नो, यू हैव टू बी देयर, यू हैव टू स्ट्रगल एंड यू हैव टू कम आउट सक्सेसफुली। ये चैलेंज जो है ना, शायद और कोई बिजनेस होता है, कोई और चीजें होती हैं, उसमें भी होता होगा, लेकिन शायद वो कम होता है। वो इसलिए कम होता है कि आपने एक लाइन ऑफ बिजनेस सेट कर दिया, आपने एक फैक्ट्री चला दी, सेटअप कर दी, तो वो फैक्ट्री चलती रहेगी। एक वो फैक्ट्री में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग होगी, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेटअप उसका बन गया होगा और वो बिकता रहेगा। लेकिन मीडिया ऐसा है कि कंज्यूमर को एक दिन में आपकी चीज पसंद आती है और नहीं पसंद आती है। नेक्स्ट डे द पर्सन कैन जस्ट शट यू अप एंड से दिस इज आई एम नॉट लाइकिंग दिस न्यूज। और बहुत जल्दी लोग बता देते हैं आजकल की फेक न्यूज चल रही है। तो हमें इन चीजों से एक मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर को बचना पड़ेगा। जो आज की वन मैन की जो अब आर्मी वाली पत्रकारिता है ना, कि HD कैमरा एक ले लिया, इंटरनेट से वो लैस स्मार्टफोन ले लिया और हर आदमी को पत्रकार बना दिया। पत्रकार तो आप बन गए, लेकिन वहां पे भी आपको एक सक्सेसफुल पत्रकार बनने के लिए यू हैव टू बी वेरी क्रेडिबल। अगेन आई एम यू वुड बी थिंकिंग कि मैं बार बार क्रेडिबल वर्ड क्यों यूज कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि यही आपका प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस है। Your credibility is your profit and loss account that you do day in and day out. It's not like this that मैं हर क्वार्टर मैंने कितने का टर्नओवर किया और कितने की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी दिखाई और कितने का एबिडा दिखाया। एक पत्रकार के लिए जिस इंस्टीट्यूट को आप ज्वाइन किए हो, आपका एबिडा लेवल यही है कि आपकी व्हाट इज योर क्रेडिबिलिटी लेवल, whether it is on social media, whether it is on through your digital app, or whether it is through your cable and television. So ये जो आधी अधूरी जानकारी के और बना करके लोग उसको बड़े अच्छे से सेंसेशनलाइज करके पेश करते हैं, उससे हो सकता है आपको थोड़ा तो व्यूज मिल जाता होगा, लेकिन आपको बहुत ज्यादा व्यूज नहीं मिलता है। और आपको एक बार तो व्यू मिल गया, बाद में how will you know, so there are many laws also are coming which will kind of control all this. But मैं एक चीज और आपको कहना चाहूंगी कि just sorry, I would also like to tell you one thing कि पत्रकारिता के पेशे में जब आप आए हो और आप मीडिया एंटरप्रेन्योर बनना चाहते हो, तो आपको अपने साथ एक ऐसा इकोसिस्टम भी बनाना पड़ेगा जिसमें हमेशा आप न्यू इनोवेशंस को देखते रहो, नई चीजों के बारे में सोचते रहो, ऑलवेज रिमेन कनेक्टेड with the entire world view, whether it is profit and loss, whether it is technology, whether it is, sorry, somebody said something, whether it is technology, whether it is the startup ecosystem, how the whole country is, I mean, you need to know everything, whether you are in that particular field of profession or not, but you must know your information levels have to be extremely high, better than any other, category entrepreneur. And that is why जिस इंस्टीट्यूट में आप आए हो, वो इंस्टीट्यूट आपको एक होलिस्टिक व्यू देता है। उस इंस्टीट्यूट के उस होलिस्टिक व्यू को आप अपने साथ आत्मसात कर लो, तो आप आत्मनिर्भर बन जाओगे। एक बार आप आत्मसात और आत्मनिर्भर को एक साथ जोड़ लोगे, तो आप एक बहुत अच्छे एंटरप्रेन्योर बन जाओगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you so much, ma'am, for all your, useful insights for the students. आपने बहुत ही अच्छी तरह समझाया इनको कि क्या होना चाहिए कि वो एक अच्छे एंटरप्रेन्योर बन सकें. So I'm sure students, you must have picked up the very good points from what she spoke. So I thank you so much. The other day, since we also included syllabi for entrepreneurial journalism in our syllabus, and I was also 2 years back I was talking to some entrepreneurial journalists as well as entrepreneurial journalism educators throughout the world, and I happened to speak with a professor whose name is Jeremiah Kaplan, and I really like him. He's from the University of New York Graduate School for Journalism, and he describes entrepreneurial journalism as a living lab for what's next in media. And what he means by this is, friends, the application of technologies to revolutionize how news is disseminated and consumed by today's society. And it refers to how businesses, they innovate to scale the unique opportunities and that are presented by the changing social landscape with the advent of, say, artificial intelligence or social media, and the cases of access of information and the ease of this information availability, enabled by the rapid expansion of internet availability. So friends, many entrepreneurs in India, they have started their own ventures, and now we will be meeting two of them. The first one here is with us is Shri Shalabh Upadhyay. He is the founder, CEO, editor-in-chief at News J. So it's News NEWJ. drawing inspiration from the mantra of the stories of India, stories for India, stories by India. Shalabh's work has carved a unique niche in digital filmmaking and storytelling in India. So, under his leadership, News has grown into one of the country's pioneering hubs of visual storytelling through diversified video content, short form, medium form, mini series, docu series, and explainers. And in a short span of past 4 years, I would say News has published over 70,000 video stories across its 13 language verticals, aggregating around 25 billion views, over a billion engagements, and creating an audience of over 30 million across 10 plus social platforms, including Meta and Instagram and Snapchat, YouTube, etc. I welcome you, Shalabhji. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Professor Daya. Am I audible?
Yes, you're very much audible.
Perfect. Thank you. First of all, I was in these classes only 6-7 years ago. So मुझे तो लग रहा है मैं वहीं पे बैठा हूँ with everyone looking at their phones and thinking कि class कब खत्म होने वाली है. But what Anurag sir said and what Anuradha ma'am said, I think there are many gold nuggets you can get out of it. Now it's up to you if you want it or not. But literally gold wisdom being spoken to you. So I would definitely pay a little bit more attention. Right, phone तो आपके पास रहने ही वाला है, and again, phone is going to become your biggest asset. तो छोड़ना नहीं है उसको, but yeah, every now and then look at the real world because that's where your profession is going to take you. So Anurag sir first talked about chaos and opportunity. Right, I think for any entrepreneur, and again, I'm not going to say that I'm a great entrepreneur. Abhishek sir, sorry. Yeah, Abhishek sir. Anurag sir to bhi aane wale. Right? Yeah. So Abhishek sir talked about chaos and opportunity, and I'm not a great entrepreneur like sir himself. I think I'm still in entrepreneurial school because we started the company 4 years ago. But anybody who can look at change, who can look at chaos and find an opportunity is an entrepreneur, right? Whether you're a successful entrepreneur, not successful entrepreneur, that's a matter of time. And the biggest thing that Abhishek sir had also mentioned was risk, the appetite for risk. Boss, agar aap risk nahi le sakte, to aap entrepreneur nahi ban sakte. Simple as that, right? And Anuradha ma'am then talked about self-belief. Now, in my understanding as a journalist, you have to be self-reliant, you have to be self-sufficient. And that's what all Atmanirbharta is about. Right? So I'm sure by the time you get out of the school or get out of IMC, you are going to be self-sufficient in being able to report and being able to get a story and being able to publish a story. Of course, change is happening all around us. Aapne chahe pichle 2 saal mein ho. Of course, the pace of change is phenomenally increased. But that only means that there is huge amount of opportunity for you. Right? You are in a time where a lot of people talk about journalism is dying, journalism is dead. And that is in some ways true, but that is only true because a new form of journalism has to come out. Because what we are looking at today did not exist 5-10 years ago. So I'll start with first, just to explain to you what my understanding in the last 4 years has been about journalism. See, if you want to get into a business of journalism, then you have to understand where the money is coming from. Journalism में सिर्फ 2 ही मॉडल हैं, और सिर्फ journalism में नहीं, content में there are only 2 models of revenue. One is subscriber led, right? आप लोगों से बोलोगे, लोग पैसा देंगे, you are going to share whether it's videos, whether it's newspapers, but whichever way you look at it. The second bit is brands, advertising. And mano na mano, everything has changed in the world, but these 2 models are the only models of revenue we've been able to figure out over the last 150 years since we started publishing, right? Hopefully, we are going to be able to come up with newer models, but frankly, these are the only 2 models if you are looking at a business. Now, think about when print started. आपके पास अखबार आता था, आप अखबार के लिए पैसे देते थे। तो जब ब्रांड्स एडवर्टाइज करती थी, ब्रांड्स किस चीज पे एडवर्टाइज करती थी? वो आपकी ओवरऑल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन पे एडवर्टाइज करती थी। आपने 1000 लोगों को न्यूज़पेपर भेजा, आपने 10,000 लोगों को न्यूज़पेपर भेजा। नाउ फॉर अ ब्रांड मैं पैसे दे रहा हूँ, बट मेरे को ये नहीं पता कि कौन कहाँ देख रहा है। मेरा फर्स्ट पेज का एड इज मोर एक्सपेंसिव ओनली बिकॉज फर्स्ट पेज का एड आप बिना अखबार को यू कैन नॉट ओवरलुक द फर्स्ट पेज एड। बट अगर मैंने सेकंड पेज पे एड दिया है तो मुझे तो पता ही नहीं पड़ रहा ना मेरा एड कितने लोगों ने देखा। That's where radio came in and radio became slightly more successful. Why? Because you could tell how many people were listening to each show. तो अगर आपका सुबह 8 बजे की आपकी एयर न्यूज है, that would get prime revenue as opposed to दोपहर में 2 बजे because सुबह 8 बजे लोग ट्रैवल कर रहे होते हैं. So you were able to distinguish आप जो brands as a brand when you're giving money to journalism, to media, to content, you were able to distinguish कि यार मेरा शो देख कौन रहा है. Whereas in a newspaper, आपको ये नहीं पता कि किसने आर्टिकल लिखा है, उस आर्टिकल वो बंदा तीसरे पेज पे जा रहा है या नहीं जा रहा है. Now, television was even more revolutionary than that because television divided the entire day into 24 one-hour segments, which is why your 9 p.m., which is prime time, is the most expensive slot on television because the most number of people are looking at it at that point. Now, digital changed that game even further. Digital told brands that we're going to be able to give you impressions of exactly how many number of people have come to your ad. And we will only ask you for money when people have come to see your ad. That was actually game changing. Social went even a step further. Social said, not only am I going to tell you how many people have looked at your ad, I'm going to actually tell you where they live, what is their demographics, what other brands they like, and so on and so forth. So finally, the biggest thing that you have to think about as an entrepreneur in media is where is your audience and what does the brand want? But if you want to be in media and specifically journalism, then what Anuradha ma'am said, credibility is the only sustainable long-term solution you have. Because you can be super successful, you can viral होने में आज की डेट में किसी को टाइम नहीं लगता, and that's not a skill. But to consistently be viral, to consistently have an audience, credibility is the only long-term game. And I'm going to assume most of the students here are going to be in journalism for the next 30, 40 years. The short-term game does not make sense, right? It's not a T20, it's a test match. Now, having said that, I, as a journalism student myself, I know journalism और business दोनों जब students मुझे भी बोला जाता था तो मुझे समझ में नहीं आता था because journalists inherently tend to be averse to numbers. हमें numbers समझ में नहीं आते. At least मुझे तो नहीं आते थे. But if in the way forward for journalism, in the way forward for media, if you are going to succeed, you have to start looking at numbers. I'm not saying you need to do differential equations in math or vectors and all of that. वो सब नहीं करना. Basic bod mass आता है ना आपको. That is all that is required. But you have to start looking at numbers. You have to know. If you are not curious, how did your own article, how did your own video do, then boss, nobody else will be interested in it. So you have to take ownership of your own content, your own journalism, your own publishing that you do. Journalism finally is part of a larger storytelling universe, right? Your filmmakers are also storytellers. Journalists are also storytellers. Communicators, PR people, they're all storytellers because storytelling is finally what history is all about, right? If you're a student of history, and I'm sure some of you or most of you are, history is just a bunch of stories being told together. The story that happens to be told for the longest time becomes written and spoken history that we do. So storytelling has to be the key part of it because that is the business you're in. You're in the business of content. It is not a business of access. And especially now, because with digital, with social, what Anuradha ma'am was referring to, the change that digital brought. But the best part about that for you in the seat that you're sitting right now is that you understand it better than anybody else. ये guarantee दे रहा हूँ. You know why? So does anybody know what's the difference between a professional and an amateur? So typically they say if you've spent 10,000 hours doing something, you're considered a professional, right? In sports, that's what the terminology is pretty much used. All of you, and I can write that on a piece of paper and I can sign it on a contract also, have consumed more than 10,000 hours of content. So you know what a good piece of content is from a bad piece of content. You know what a good piece of journalism is from a bad piece of journalism. That is the first step, and that is the most important step. So with the new mediums coming on every second, third week, you have a new technology coming. You've got now AR and VR to deal with. You are in the best position to actually innovate. And innovation in journalism is no longer a want. It's a need, and a need for survival. If you do not innovate, I promise you, journalism as a profession eventually is going to die out, because like Anuradha ma'am said, right, everyone can be a journalist. Well, when everyone can be something, that means it's nothing. So the fact of the matter is that you and I, again, 6 years apart, are in the same boat. That if you want to be a journalist, you have to be innovative. It's no longer a choice. अगर आपको जर्नलिस्ट बनना है जिससे आप टीवी के सामने आ जाओ, तो बहुत sorry, you've been born in the wrong age. It cannot work now, because there are so many influencers who are actively taking more ownership of their content than you are. And that is the fact, and that is the reality of today. But then that makes it the biggest opportunity you have, because you're already on your phone, like we talked about in the beginning, right? You know what works. You have to find good stories. You have to dig in deep. And in order to have that virality factor, क्योंकि वो उल्टी सीधी चीजें करने से जो virality आती है, that's going to get boring pretty soon. Which means that your in-depth coverage of an issue, that one interview that you are going to get because you're persistent, that nobody else got, is going to be the change maker. You have to make sure that you are thinking about stories, how to do them differently. Just to stand in front of the camera and speak, that's not at least the defining skill anymore. So definitely will tell you, please, जैसे हम लोग in the last 4 years, we're now a 200 people organization. The biggest thing that we are always looking for, writers can write, but they can't edit. Editors will only edit, but they will not write. Now that is a problem. If you think that as a journalist, your only job is writing, again, born in the wrong era of journalism. You need to know how to write. You need to know how to edit. You need to know how to publish. Distribution, like ma'am said, is the key part of any business, because you can write the best novel in the world. You can write the best investigative piece in the world. But if nobody gets it, is it really best? Having said that, again, one thing that I think is ingrained in all of us, and I think that's why the Prime Minister or all the leaders in our country keep talking about Atmanirbharta, is हमारे यहाँ confidence की कमी है. We're not confident, and I'm not sure why that is. But one thing that I would definitely suggest, if you want to be in media, especially knowing where we're headed and what are the challenges that are there, and if you want to be an entrepreneur in media, you have to accept failing as a part of your journey towards success. Fail hard, fail fast, and move on to your next failure. Because nowhere success has a template. किसी भी जगह देख लो, success का कोई template नहीं होता. You can live Virat Kohli's life day in, day out, you will still not be Virat Kohli. Why? Because Virat Kohli is different than you. So each of us needs to find our own path to success. And the only short way of optimizing your success is to optimize your failures. Fail hard, fail fast, and move on to your next failure. अगर फेल होने से डरते रहोगे ना, और मैं तो पता है स्कूल में बहुत फेल हुआ था यार, तो I तो still don't understand how I got here. But the point is, you have to start accepting failure, because that is the job that we have. We have to fail every day, because if you're not failing, you're not doing anything new. If you're not doing anything new, at least in journalism moving forward, you're as good as dead. It's just not going to work. Because there are going to be people who you can call them influencers and say, oh, मैं influencer नहीं हूँ, मैं पत्रकार हूँ, मैं journalist हूँ, उससे कोई किसी को कोई लेना देना नहीं है. People who are going to read them, who are going to listen to them, are going to get influenced by them. Nobody is going to come with a signboard for you. नहीं journalist असली वाला ये है. Twitter पे भी verified handle लेने के लिए, eventually you're going to have an audience, and that audience needs to see you as the owner of the content of the piece of journalism that you're publishing. So please, you're in school right now, you're in college right now. Please don't be afraid of failures, because it's the only way that journalism is going to innovate and it's going to survive. And start treating your failures as badges of honor. जितनी गलती कर सकते हो करो, और जितनी जल्दी कर सकते हो करो, because you'll learn it. You'll learn from your mistakes, your failures much faster. So to end it all, I just want to say, failure is acceptable, losses are acceptable, defeat isn't. Because the moment you accept defeat, it's done. And entrepreneurs like Abhishek sir had said in the beginning, we're not allowed to accept defeats, because there's no timeline to it when you will be successful, but you have to be persistent with it. But thank you so much for the opportunity and for being able to listen to Abhishek sir and Anuradha ma'am. Super excited, and I wish everyone here the best of luck. And thank you, Professor Dahiya.
Thank you, Mr. Upadhyay. I would like to ask on behalf of students, what tips would you like to give to the budding journalists here?
I think I'm a budding journalist and a budding entrepreneur myself, so I don't know if I'll have that many tips. I'll give one thing. So when Professor Dahiya was introducing me, she said Newsjay. Actually, हमारी कंपनी का नाम न्यूज है. वो न्यूज नाम रखा भी इसलिए गया था क्योंकि जब आप गांव और देहात में जाते हो तो इंडिया में न्यूज नहीं बोलते, न्यूज बोलते हैं. Which means you have to understand your audience. If your idea is कि I'm going to create something for everyone, that means you've created something for nothing, for no one. You have to define किसके लिए क्या बना रहे हो. If you're writing, are you writing a long form piece or a short form piece? If you're doing a video, are you doing a long form video or are you going to do a short form video? Your audience needs to be able to, you need to be able to give something to your audience in the least, in the most digestible manner. और उसके लिए आपको अपनी audience को पता होना बहुत जरूरी है. Who is it you're creating something for? So I would say again, with fail hard and fail fast, know your audience.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. Do we have Dr. Anurag Batra? He has joined. Backend team, can you please let me know?
He's joining.
All right. So
yes.
Meanwhile, we can have one question for
Yes.
Dr. Abhishek Garg.
Correct.
Dr. Abhishek, are you? Is he here?
Yeah, Surbhi,
Okay.
please tell me.
Yeah. So you were saying, so one student has just sent me a question for you, whether, it is better to take up some job for a few years and then go into, decide and go into for an entrepreneurship, or as Shalabji is saying that, learn fast, fail first, and then, learn from your failures and quickly get into another failure or, followed by success. So what tip would you like to give to the students? Which option is better?
Okay, so there's no right and wrong as such in this. However, as Shalabji said that fail fast, learn fast, and get successful fast. I always feel a fear of conditioning. So conditioning is something which actually has a severe impact in our life. So बहुत बचपन में कभी मैंने पढ़ा था कि जब हाथी का छोटा सा बच्चा होता है तो उसके पैर में एक मोटा सा जंजीर डाल के और एक खूंटे से उसे गाड़ देते हैं. तो वो हाथी का बच्चा पैर छुड़ाने का कोशिश करता है. And one fine day he decided within his mind, within his subconscious as it goes, कि मैं ये नहीं तोड़ा सकता हूँ. और जैसे ही वो प्रयास करना बंद करता है, उसका ट्रेनर वो मोटी सी जंजीर को एक पतली सी रस्सी से बदल देता है. अब वो हाथी बहुत बड़ा विशाल हो गया, जिसके लिए मतलब मच्छर मारने से जितना बड़ा काम है वो रस्सी को तोड़ देना, बट ही बिलीव्स कि वो इसे तोड़ नहीं सकता है. सो संभवतः मुझे लगता है कि पहले कुछ साल नौकरी करना, मतलब अगर आपको लगता है कि आपके अंदर एक सॉलिड बिजनेस प्लान बनाने का या अपना संगठन इकट्ठा करने का, अपना ऑर्गेनाइज करने का, अपने वेंचर के इंग्रेडिएंट्स जो लोग हमें चाहिए उनको साथ में रखना, या वो टीम नहीं है, सो संभवतः आप एक्सप्लोर कर सकते हो. बट देन आप एंटरप्रेन्योर उस दिन भी हो. पर अगर आप ऐसा कंडीशनिंग में फंस गए कि आप फिक्स सेल्फ, वो ऐसा ट्रैप है कि अगर आप उस ट्रैप में फंस गए, सो प्रोबेबली दैट मे किल योर ड्रीम टू बी एन एंटरप्रेन्योर. और आपका आइडिया आउटडेटेड हो सकता है, क्योंकि जो आइडिया है आपकी, जो सॉल्व आपने ढूंढा हुआ है, वो आज वैलिड है, हो सकता है 2 साल बाद 3 साल बाद नहीं हो वैलिड. हेवन सेड दैट, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब तक बर्निंग फायर नहीं है सक्सेस की अंदर से, हो सकता है अगर वो रिस्क टेकिंग एबिलिटी नहीं है, अगर वो है आपके अंदर, तो वो आपको कभी भी फिक्स्ड इनकम जॉब की तरफ ले ही नहीं जाएगा, वो आपको इसी तरफ लेके आएगा. सो इट इज नॉट इन द बिगिनिंग आई सेड देयर इज नो राइट एंड रॉन्ग कि आप जॉब करें या आप एंटरप्रेन्योर बने, या मतलब पहले जॉब करें या फिर एंटरप्रेन्योर बने. आपका एक दिन होगा जिस दिन आपके पास ये सारे इंग्रेडिएंट अवेलेबल होंगे, उस दिन आप एंटरप्रेन्योर बनेंगे. मैं सिर्फ ये कहने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ कि पैसे, मतलब सीड कैपिटल हो चाहे ABCD राउंड ऑफ फंडिंग, वो पैसे आ जाते हैं अगर बिजनेस प्लान में दम है तो. कस्टमर मिल जाते हैं अगर सेल्स पिच में दम हो तो. सेल्स पिच बन जाती है अगर प्रोडक्ट में दम है तो. प्रोडक्ट अच्छा बन जाता है अगर कॉन्सेप्ट के ऊपर बैकग्राउंड अच्छा होमवर्क किया हुआ है तो. सो इनसे घबरा के फिक्स इनकम जॉब में जाना समझदारी नहीं है. पर अगर ऐसा लगता है कि आज वो किक नहीं है और कुछ सालों लर्निंग के लिए जाना चाहता हूँ, या और कंडीशनिंग में नहीं फंसूंगा, या मेरा मिशन है उस कॉर्पोरेट को समझना कि हाउ द बिग कॉर्पोरेट रन्स, और उसको समझ के फिर अपने यहाँ लेके आऊंगा, देन इट्स अ पर्सनल चॉइस. बट अगर मेरे से आप पूछो तो मैं बोलूंगा कि अगर आपके पास चारों इंग्रेडिएंट हैं, तो कंडीशनिंग में के खतरे में जाने के बजाय, जैसा शलभ जी बता रहे थे, फील फास्ट, लर्न फास्ट, मूव फास्ट.
Very true, very true. So I think students have got their answers. Do we have Mrs. Anuradha Prasad still with us, or she has left because she had to leave by 4? Is she here?
She's
She
left.
is left. Okay. So Shalabji, who is your role model, and who is your inspiration in this field of media entrepreneurship?
I don't know if I think I got into both media and entrepreneurship accidentally. And I was in New York after doing my master's in Columbia in journalism only, and I was working for a.
Abhinavji, can you please switch off your mic? Can you please switch off your mic, Abhinav Kumar Srivastava? Yes, please.
Yeah. So I was working at a tech media startup there. And what I realized was that video was becoming huge. And I knew at that time Jio in India had just launched in. तो अगर आप डेटा की बात करें, तो पहली बार इंडिया में हुआ था कि इवन गांव कूचों में, जहाँ पे इवन द गवर्नमेंट गोज once in 2 years, one for state elections and one for national elections, they had access to the world, right? And you're talking about audiences that maybe want to read, maybe don't know how to read. बट अगर आपके पास चीप डेटा है और आप डेटा यूज कर रहे हैं, तो वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ वीडियो पे यूज हो सकता है. You can read 10,000 articles a day and you would not spend more than 500 MB, right? But यहाँ पे India was suddenly spending on a daily basis, people were spending 3 GB, 4 GB. So our goal was to be able to bring video storytelling, and that's why in 4 years, what typically news networks take years to launch, we've gone into 13 languages, which is Hindi and English plus all the 11 regional languages, because that is the most important thing. So I think role model in life, there are a lot. I don't know if I believe in having role models in that way, in the classical sense कि मुझे इसकी तरह बनना है. क्योंकि अगेन लाइक आई सेड मैं कोई बहुत अच्छा स्टूडेंट तो था नहीं, तो मैंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं था बहुत अच्छे लोगों की तरह मैं बन पाऊंगा. मुझे अपनी तरह बनना था, और जो थोड़ा बहुत मुझे समझ में आता था, लाइक अभिषेक सर सेड, धंधे को आपको धंधे की तरह करना पड़ेगा, एंड यू विल हैव टू डिसाइड वेदर यू गॉट द करेज टू डू इट, बिकॉज इट रिक्वायर्स फायर. एंड to be honest, I think everyone in this conversation, because everyone is related to journalism, we are very privileged and very lucky, because 99.99% of the world, if you ask them our job or what they think about journalists, they'll say it's such an exciting job. यार क्या जॉब है, तुम लोगों को तो बड़े मजे आते होंगे. हमें लगता है यहाँ पे रह के कि क्या है, रोज नई कुछ चीज आ जाती है, कुछ होता है, बट गो टू अ बैंक टेलर, किसी अकाउंटेंट से पूछना उसके लिए इंटरेस्टिंग क्या होता है. तो अगेन यू हैव टू कीप दैट फायर ऑन फॉर बीइंग इन वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोफेशंस इन द वर्ल्ड एंड वन ऑफ द मोस्ट वैल्यूएबल प्रोफेशंस एज वेल. Sorry, Professor Daya, I don't know if I answered your question, but I answered a different one.
Yeah, surely. It was a very good answer. And here students are texting more questions. Also, one Priya has texted that, if you plan to, basically initiate a startup, how do we get funds?
So as Abhishek sir said, I think in life, money follows value. आप कुछ करके तो दिखाओ. Have an idea, have the plans. ये नहीं हो सकता कि पहले पैसा आएगा फिर मैं सोच लूंगा क्या करना है उसके साथ. राइट बॉस, ये तो दुकान में होता है सिर्फ कि पैसा पहले आप ले आओ और फिर वो बताएंगे आपको कि आपके प्राइस का कितना, कौन सी बड़ी वाली शर्ट देंगे या कौन सा गाउन देंगे.
True.
Right. Just have excellence and money will follow.
Yeah. So I'm also writing a book on entrepreneurial journalism in India these days, and I've interviewed some of the owners of digital media ventures, where I got to know that many of them have been supported by, agencies like Independent Public Spirit Funding. They get the funding there. So you also had some funding from there? News?
Not from whichever organization. So we went with a business plan, and thankfully had Geo invest in us as an investor. Okay. But that's only once we had something to go on.
Right. So thank you so much, Mr. Shalabh Upadhyay. And I think
Anurag ji has joined.
Anurag has joined with us. Students, let me begin from here that the first time I heard Dr. Anurag Batra's name was when I was a student. When I was sitting in my class and one of my professors, he talked about Dr. Anurag Batra and his venture called, Exchange for Media. And I was thrilled to, meet him, when I joined here at IIMC. So Exchange for Media, it started in 2000 as a B2B company, as a platform for buying and selling of media time and space. But after the 3 initial years, Exchange for Media evolved into a niche publisher, catering to the market, advertising and media professionals. So that is to say that Exchange for Media Group, publishers, they publishes content online and in print form on subjects significant for people into professions like marketing, advertising and media. So it is widely accepted as the portal that presents breaking news and fresh perspectives in the media, advertising and marketing domains. And this is why over 25,000 plus industry leaders subscribe to the content. And Exchange for Media Group, includes several sister organizations like Impact, Reality Plus, Pitch, Samachar for Media, Exchange for Media Events, Loudest and Future Play. And let me tell you, Dr. Batra is also the chairperson for Business World. So Dr. Batra is one of the youngest, I would say, media mughals from India. I've interviewed many media mughals, and it was an honor to interview him as well. Dr. Batra is, a serial entrepreneur, I would say, and a mentor to many successful entrepreneurs. And he has never, ever refused a request from IMC faculty like us to interact with the students. And Dr. Batra is a man of many talents and someone who adorns many hats. He is an entrepreneur, he's an author, I would tell you his daughter, who is in school, is also an author. She has just written a book. And he's an angel investor and, a TV show host and a founder of Iconic Exchange for Media, as I said, and the chairman and editor-in-chief of Business World. He believes if you make your hobby your profession, you don't have to work, and life is a blessing. So he doesn't work. He just followed his passion, and he's enjoying his life, and he wears many hats. And Dr. Batra has been associated with IIMC students since long. And I, together with Dr. Batra, we organized many conferences for media educators and students out, here, one of my EJ batches, all 68 students are witness to it. I welcome you, Dr. Batra. Over to you, Dr. Batra. Dr. Pramod, is Dr. Batra here? Sir, I can't listen to you. Unmute. Yes.
Thank you so much. I said Dr. Surabhi Daya is very kind. By the way, Dr. Daya, my daughter is in college in the US now.
Okay.
And, again, I see Sanjay ji. Since the time he's joined IMC ka profile बढ़ गया. He keeps engaged with the whole community, make sure that IMC is doing the right things and it is getting to the... So I think I must congratulate Shri Sanjay Dwivedi ji for raising the profile of the institution and making it much more active. In the last 10 decades, I've known IMC from close. So I can tell you that in the last 3 years, Dwivedi Saab has really added to this institution in its preeminence. So I'm grateful I'm here. And my good friend Shalabh Ulpadhyay was speaking to you. Again, Shalabh is a new age entrepreneur. He's building a purely digital startup. I can only say that we are also a recruiter from IMC. This year we took about 18 or 16 or 17. I think we took 20, but 17 joined. 15 are still with us and they're doing a great job. We've taken between 5 to 7 people every year from IMC. I think next year we will want to be day one and pick up 30, 40 people in the way we are growing. IMC is a great, you guys are very lucky that you are at IMC because IMC has so much respect and gets the right recruiters. You get the right knowledge more importantly. And thanks to Dr. Surabhi Daya, all the other professors, you get industry exposures also. And as I said, Dr. Dwivedi is added to the top of mind recall of IMC by doing relevant initiatives. So first of all, I must congratulate you for being lucky. Shalabh, I missed hearing you. I was supposed to go back to the office and do this, but I couldn't. So my iPad was brought to the place where I was. So I'm doing it from a public place. Let me say, first of all, that I say it with humility, but if all of you log on to exchangeformedia.com daily and जिनकी हिंदी सुदृढ़ है और आप हिंदी में करना चाहते हैं तो समाचार4media.com daily तो आपको 5-10 मिनट में हमारे मीडिया एडवर्टाइजिंग मार्केटिंग कम्युनिकेशन के दायरे में क्या हो रहा है ये पता लग जाएगा. My throat is not the best, but I want to say 3-4 things to you. I want to keep to my time. I know it's been a day-long process. First, I want to say to you that a lot of people who do their first degree regret that they wanted to do something, but they couldn't do that. That is almost 44% of the people who do graduation, they regret whatever choice they make. But almost more than 2 times regret taking up journalism. And the only regret they have is because of salary. So don't come to journalism or media communications because you want to make a lot of money, but come to this because you want to make a lot of impact. Money in 5 years, 7 years, 3 years will catch up. Entry level in media is much lesser than entry level in some other domains. So come to media advertising, marketing, communication for the impact that you want to make. Confucius said you make your hobby or profession, you don't have to work. So come to this domain because you like being in this domain. The second thing I want to say that there is a lot happening in this domain and there are lots of sections and subsections. And I hope Mr. Dwivedi and Dr. Surbhi Daya invite me to do a longer session with you, and I'd welcome that. So there are so many job opportunities in this sector that weren't there 3 years back, that weren't there 10 years back. And every year's new kinds of jobs are being added. So clearly there is a lot of jobs, and IMC jobs is a guarantee. Third, you have to be an all-rounder. When you start in the next 1 year, 2 years, try and learn a lot about every domain. Do not make a choice today. Make a choice in 6 months, 1 year on what you want to do. I want to say today you can be in media as a content creator. In news domain, it's called a journalist or an anchor or an editor. You can be a content creator even coming without being at IMC by being an influencer. But you can be a domain expert. The future of journalism, the future of content is in being a domain expert. Today, like when you go for your food choices, you go to a sushi bar, you go to a South Indian restaurant, you go to an Italian restaurant, you don't just go to a food court. The era is of super specialization, of domain expertise. So you have to be a domain expert. But for now, learn everything about everything. Second, when you're at the campus, take up live projects. And luckily, because you're at IMC, you'll get a lot of opportunities. Come work for companies, whether it's a 1 week, 2 week, 4 week, 8 week. And I'm not talking of formal training that you have to do as part of IMC, but I'm talking much beyond that. And last but not the least, your profession is about consumption of content. So read newspapers, read magazines, read websites, watch television, follow influencers, follow people who have built something in their domain, in this domain. Learn from them. This is what I can say to you on your first day of orientation. I want to keep to my time and make it short. I want to end by saying that IMC is a dream campus for a lot of people. I know a lot of people who are not able to get into IMC. And as I said, it's preeminent, which you know, and that's why you're here. But it's locational advantages. Today, Delhi, Noida, and Gurgaon are, apart from Bombay, are becoming a hub for content creators. So you can do real-time projects. I wish you luck in your endeavor. Life is about hard work. Life is about trade-offs. While you're at the campus, you must have fun. But if you have a goal, you have an ambition, you must work hard. And that hard work can only happen if you enjoy what you do. So I wish you luck so that you enjoy what you do. But put in a lot of effort because your rest of your life depends on it. I want to end here and say that I think the next 2 years of your life are the best 2 years because you learn, you make new friends, both in faculty, in your director, in your teachers, and they can, if they like you, they can make a change in your life. They can introduce you to a job opportunity. They can give you a better project. So make relationships with your director, with your professors, with your teachers, with your faculty that comes from the industry. They can help you in your journey. That's what I want to say, and I wish you luck. And I can take 1 or 2 questions. My email is very simple. It's anurag.batra@businessworld.in or anuragbatrayo@gmail.com. And second, you can follow me on Twitter on anuragbatrayo. Read Exchange for Media, read samacharformedia.com. I won't stop you from reading businessworld.in or subscribing to the magazine. Happy that IMC students can come to Exchange for Media and Business World events. So thank you. God bless you. I can take 1 question, Dr. Daya. Do read Dr. Daya's books. Do read Sanjay ji's books. They're both prolific writers. I've had the opportunity to read 2 Dr. Daya's books, and out of all the books, Dwivedi ji has sent me only 1. And I'm doing India's largest non-fiction book festival. I'm going to invite both Dr. Daya and Dr. Dwivedi to be there. So read their books. They have written books in media. क्योंकि कई बार घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर वो होता है, मेरे घर में भी होता है, कंपनी में भी होता है. So wish you luck. I'm always there for IMC students. As I said, almost 25 of IMC pass outs, maybe 30 work with me, whom we've recruited over the last 4 years. So I'm a recipient of the talent that IMC has produced. They've contributed to our ventures. So my gratitude to IMC and thank you for inviting me here. I can take one or two questions.
Thank you.
Shalabh, we should meet. It's been a while. I'm in Bombay. This week I'll call you.
Yes, sir. I'll just message you after this.
I'll call you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Batra, for your thoughtful words to the students. And one of the students has just texted me that what is the most important tip that Dr. Batra would like to give us for becoming a media entrepreneur?
देखिए अभी आप entrepreneur की मत सोचिए, आप अभी काम करिए. But if you have ideas, I think there are only two tips that I would say. One is curious होना बहुत important है. मेरे पास बहुत किताबें आती है, मैं फिर भी कोशिश करता हूँ पढ़ लूँ. द्विवेदी जी ने पूरा मेरे को बंच भेजा, तो मैंने एक रख लिया, उसमें से एक पढ़ पाया फ्लाइट पे. अभी मैं डॉक्टर दहिया की मीडिया जायंट्स ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ रहा हूँ और मेरी रुचि के एरिया है. So curiosity is very important. Knowledge. Curiosity leads to knowledge, to insights, and it leads to skills for being. Second, build a mentor. चाहे आप डॉक्टर दहिया को बनाइए, चाहे शलभ जी को बनाइए, चाहे डॉक्टर द्विवेदी को बनाइए, चाहे और प्रोफेसर्स हैं, प्रदीप जी हैं, whoever, have a mentor. और उनसे आप स्ट्रक्चर्ड और अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड टाइम लीजिए, उनके साथ प्रोजेक्ट्स कीजिए, उनके प्रोजेक्ट्स में उनकी मदद कीजिए. जो आपको स्किल वाइज और एक्सपीरियंस वाइज सीखने को मिलेगा, इट विल सप्लीमेंट द क्लासरूम ट्रेनिंग दैट IMC is so well known for. So curiosity, be curious, learn new things, ask questions, be present, and second is have a mentor.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thoughtful answer. I would go back to the students and tell them that students, the new news economy or the new news media, which represents the digital news platforms that are today equal to the magazines, newspapers, radio, TV, they are all consumed on cell phones, laptops, desktops, tablets, and they contain the same information as traditional media, but they're delivered in a different style and format. So the technological convergence is fantastic, as text and audio and visual can all be merged into one. And there are so many different formats, so many different ways in which a story can be told and news can be disseminated today. So to know more, keep tuned to entrepreneurial journalism in India with entrepreneurs like Dr. Batra, Dr. Shalabh, and others. And you should read more about the digital ventures in India, whether it is the print or the wire or any other digital media venture. You will come to know more about how they were set up and how they what were their success stories. So with this, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Sunetra Sen Narayan for the vote of thanks for this particular session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dahiya. Indeed, it's been a very enlightening afternoon, and the first day of orientation has been very, very interesting. I'm sure students will benefit a lot from the different perspectives presented in this particular session. I'd like to thank Dr. Abhishek Garg, the Executive Director, DBG Technology India, for a wide-ranging perspective on different aspects in entrepreneurship. Mr. Shalabh Upadhyay, founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of Nuge, very interesting, somewhat newish digital enterprise. I think Mr. Upadhyay is unusually modest. I'm sure students have lots to learn from him, although he kept saying, I'm just like you all, but you are not. You have that missionary zeal to go out and do something, which is very difficult. Ms. Anuradha Prasad, I think she's already left, but we are very grateful indeed to have the editor-in-chief of News 24 who shared a lot of insights with us. And as you all know, it's a very difficult business to succeed in. And it's even more difficult and more rare to have a woman in a position of such as Miss Prasad. So that's indeed all kudos to her. In our generation, it wasn't that difficult, wasn't that easy to rise in this kind of a profession. And last of all, Dr. Anurag Batra, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief, Business World. Indeed, we are very grateful to him for sharing his insights with us, and also for sharing the very happy news that a lot of IMC students join his organization, and even better that they contribute a lot to his organization and to many others. So thank you so much for all of you. We're indeed very grateful that you took time out from your very busy schedules and shared your insights and your journey with our students. So thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Daya. Thank you all our faculty who have been listening from, and students who've been listening and joining us from different centers. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjay Trivedi, for being part of this afternoon session. And thank you to all other staff and our own IMC executives who've been working so hard to put this digital program together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks to you too. Thank you. We would like to end this session here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Pramod.